Hey, welcome back to Performance Starts Within. In today's episode, I'm going to share a little bit of a personal story about how I closed my six-figure creative agency business and restarting my own coaching business from zero. But before we dive in, I wanted to give you a bit of a life update as to what we're doing at the moment in our business and what's happening here. So today I'm back in studio recording some solo episodes. It is actually launch day. So today I'm recording this on the 10th of October, and of course this isn't going to be published until later. However, we're back here getting excited and sharing some of the wins and funny moments that happened this week launching this podcast. I've helped a couple of clients launch before and never really my own. And this week I got to experience exactly some of the emotions that came up during the launch phase that I never thought I would experience and didn't realize probably the depth in which some of our clients would have experienced it themselves as well. Some of those mindset challenges that come up. So a couple of things I wanted to share on what we did this week to make this happen and maybe some of the wobbles. And then I'm going to also share that story of what happened in our creative agency. So this week I had a bit of a whirlwind moment of being in the exact same position that one of our clients who we helped launch a podcast for in the mindset space. It was actually quite scary getting into launch phase when you're seeing your face pop on everywhere, you're getting excited, but you're also nervous, you're listening to your voice, you're looking at your cover art and second guessing yourself. And so like one of my clients did before their launch, changed their cover art and their photos, I also did it this week as well, where I changed it 2 days before launch to make it look completely different. But you know what? That's just part of it. The messy middle, we make changes, we move things forward. And as long as we're progressing and have momentum, everything's kind of moving on track anyway. And that's part of life. One of the things this week that I really wanted to embody and I'm really super proud and excited about is that we're just still getting back into studio and doing it. And even though things are going to be messy and it's going to be daunting and it's going to be scary, every single time we do it, it's just going to be a little bit easier and a little bit more forward each time. And so part of this episode and sharing this story is getting used to that storytelling piece and being able to share some of those real raw moments that happen in business so that you can have somewhere to relate as well. So let's kick off with a little bit about this creative agency that I was telling you all about. So for those that have followed me before or have been in my world previously, 2 years ago when my son was 5 months old, I decided part of my journey of being a mum as well was to create a creative agency. And what that meant was as I had clients where we would do full social media marketing campaigns for them in various spaces. And so that would be things like real estate agents, professionals like psychologists, accountants and bookkeepers, even photographers. Part of what we did was anything from creative direction and brand photography to creating content to full campaigns and launches with emails and also podcasts as well. And I was right in that startup phase. I was so excited to get into business, hiring my first business coach and joining an amazing community. And things actually grew extremely quickly, probably quicker than what I could handle as well. And so within 7 months, the business grew so quick. I had a team of 4. I had 26 clients. Was registering as a company and we'd hit six figures really, really quickly. However, also what happened in that phase was because I was growing so quick, I didn't have the foundation set in the business enough to support the growth. I didn't have the operations. I didn't have things like standard operating procedures for my VAs so that they could take on more work. And I was doing pretty well everything in the business apart from a couple of things that my VAs or my team were actually doing as well. And the problem that I have found with that is that I felt I was working all the time. I was probably working on the wrong things in the business. I was doing probably too much of the client work, and I was not looking at all the ways in which we could streamline systems, get more sales, get more clients, or even market for ourselves and having some really good downtime for me when I'm in the mix of it as well. And so it got to a point probably about 8 months in, not long after we'd registered and hit our six figures, that I was getting very, very tired. It was starting to reflect in things like home life. It was starting to reflect in maybe the quality of work that was putting out. And I just felt like I couldn't take a day off because I hadn't actually set the foundations up properly. And it was really interesting that I got to that point and strategically or spiritually or perfect divine timing, whatever the circumstances were, that my husband actually left. And it was that moment that it was almost a relief because it was a reason that I had to pull back the reins on the business. I became a solo mum overnight with a 1-year-old. I had to do business work as well as manage home life. And I didn't have the capacity emotionally or physically to be able to do all the things. And so it was in that moment that I felt that I had to pull back the reins on everything, have a really good think about what I was building and whether that was something that I actually wanted to progress further in helping. Because while it was making good money and I had some really, really good clients, it may not have been the business that I actually wanted when I first created it. And part of what I really wanted to create was something that allowed me to have more time with my son, more time with my clients, and make bigger impacts. And part of what I created gave me less of those things. And don't get me wrong, I was absolutely devastated because I had built something that was so exciting to me. I got to work with some really amazing clients. Like we had $60,000 contracts. We had brands that we launched full campaigns with marketing agencies, and we had launch parties and podcasts that had celebrity guests and appearances. And it was something that I really, really, really loved. But I also found that in hindsight now, a year later after closing doors, I probably wouldn't have created it in that way. And I have got so much knowledge now on business, on clients, on marketing, on campaigns, because I've done so much already. And now I get to give all of that information to some of the clients I have now, which is really, really exciting. So it's officially 12 months since I closed doors of the business. Everything has been settled. The company's being dissolved, and I found myself back into a day job. And to be fair, it was actually probably the best thing that happened because I fell into the job to support my son and I. We decided to pack up and move closer to family. And because I didn't have the business, I found that I had to find something to kind of bridge the gap. With solo parenting and doing all the things on your own, you can't just live off savings forever. And so I went back into a sales job for the community as well, because it can get me quite lonely in entrepreneurship, but also to brush up my skills in sales as well. And I found myself really enjoying that kind of transition and stepping away for a little bit before jumping back into it. But probably like you, if you're an entrepreneur, I got the itch 6 months later and decided to jump into another mastermind and hired a VA from day one so that I could kick things off again, but this time a little bit differently. So more in the coaching space and taking all of the knowledge that I've taken from that creative agency into what I'm doing now. And so this time around creating a business, I now have a 3-year-old. And I don't have the time or capacity to be able to have clients that were as demanding, to be able to build something so big in this season of life that I'm in. And I also choose not to have those things. And so I'm making sure that I'm super intentional with the time and resources that I have available this time around to be able to build something that is going to grow and be sustainable for beyond what I'm wanting to do right now. And so I'm taking into account that I work a day job during the week, so I don't have the days to be able to do 20 hours of the back end building. So I have a VA that supports me in that. I make sure that I schedule in an extra daycare day so I can do things like podcasting and recording and creating content and writing, client work, because I'm coaching one-on-one with my clients and we'll be doing a mastermind later in the year. And so when I am building the foundations now, I have to think about that big goal, which I didn't necessarily do when I created the creative agency, that one day my son will go to school and I want to make sure that I can do pick up and drop off. I want to make sure that we can take holidays, and I want to make sure that I can build the business that supports the life that I'm trying to lead as well for him, for me, and also my clients. And so why this might be important to you is if you're finding that you're really struggling to get momentum, or you're starting again, or you're thinking what you're doing right now may not be serving what you want to achieve in the future, I want you to peel all the reins back and have a think about the big picture, what you're trying to do. What is it that you actually want? Do we just need to pull everything back and aim for that and stop getting stuck in the mess? Or is it actually okay that you are in a day job right now because it supports and facilitates everything that you need so that you don't have to stress about money to build what you're wanting to build? And then the third thing as well is it's okay to start again. I'm starting again. I had teams of 4, big clients, multi 6 figures, completely closed off, and I'm down to 3 brand new clients starting from 0, and that's absolutely okay. And so I want to bring you on the journey on recreating the business. I'm going to be sharing in some of our podcasts and on socials exactly what I'm doing to get new clients, what offers I'm doing, how I'm rebuilding, what my VA is doing in the background, our podcasts, so that you can come along on the journey and you can see us grow behind the scenes and also in front of the scenes as well. I will be opening up some doors so that you can come and actually see inside the business for those that would love to join me. But for now, thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one.